It's another day in the NBA, ton of Q tags as usual, and a couple NBA games that seem like they should be fun, and also some ones that are missing a lot of key players. We're doing what we always do here on this channel. We're going to compare my projections to some of the industry leaders out there, like our friends at Stokastic, and also like our friends at Unabated. Of course, we're going to see what Unabated's got for our best bets today. Of course, a process that's won people over, actually, $60,000 I think we're at now, if they've been hitting bets before tip-off every single day using Unabated's data. We're just going to hop over to Stokastic, see some DFS sims, and by the end of this video, you know the splash plays for today, my must plays. And I'm also going to introduce you guys to my new co-host on these shows coming up in a moment here. But let's go to Underdog's Q-Tag tweet first. We got, this is not a great tease. For the record, it's not an actual co-host, but bear with me. Q-Tag tweet. We got Jaylen Brown, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, Cole Anthony, Derek Lively, Colin Sexton, Cody Williams. Probable tags for LeBron. Doesn't matter unless you're playing on FanDuel. Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Josh Green, Alec Burks. Doubtful tag for Lonzo. So we got. We're going to, of course, dig into my projections, though, first. And I have my co-host is moving around down here. I'll go full screen here. Guys, meet Kitty. We did not get the dog I thought we were going to get on Friday. Said we got this little girl here who survived Parvo, also just got spayed. So there you go. Check that out. She's a very cute girl. Unfortunately, though, she is a puppy, so she's got to be with one of us all day long right now. So she's, in fact, with me. But I'll tell you what, it's the only DFS show you're going to get quality basketball data today, along with an adorable puppy dog here. Oh, hey, I'm on the mic. Play Luka Doncic today. Oh, you dog. He's not even on the DraftKings slate. You can't do that. Awful co-hosting. Adorable dog, though. Sleep deprived is what I am as well. Thank you, guys. Yes, not a puppet. Unfortunately, not a puppet. Anyway, Luka Doncic here, your top projected player on the slate. He's not in the DraftKings slate, so it doesn't matter. In fact, the only guy I would have amidst all the basketball games today projected for over 50 fantasy points. It's not that kind of slate relative to the matchups, the guys on it. So, Luka, if you are playing on FanDuel today or the DK late slate, he'll be a more appealing player on there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the one who does project the highest amidst all the players that we actually have access to today on DraftKings. Getting him at 49.7 fantasy points. Stokastic is at 51.7. 19% of the field is right there. I'm at 11% for myself in my top 150. So SGA, not a priority play for me. In fact, I'm surprised with a guy who is a priority play. Not LeBron, FanDuel slate only. Domantas Sabonis, I have him for a 48.5 projection when boosting rates a little bit. Court time without De'Aaron Fox. He's really the big winner overall for a Kings team that traded for guys like Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine has not been anywhere near as good as you would have thought he'd be, this kind of situation. Team right now, kind of a mess, but at 9,200, with Sabonis being projected for just shy of 50 fantasy points, like a lot of these guys in here, I'm getting a lot of Sabonis. 43% of my top 150 lineups have him right now. Fields at 19%. Sabonis looks like the play today. It looks the strongest. My wife would love to name the dog after a person who she doesn't even know, who I do bits with on stream. That's probably not the way that works. Much more of a negotiation for pet naming than it was when I was a bachelor, I'll tell you what. Jason Tatum, 48.1 fantasy points for me, 48.9 for him, for Stokastic right now in his projection. Would say if you get Jaylen Brown out, this number has to come up a little bit. As it is right now, though, not a bad play with 31% of the field there. I'm only getting 21%. Getting more Sabonis, less Tatum feels pretty good. And Sabonis as well on the slate. There's going to be some cheap center value that comes up quite a bit. I think makes a little more sense as a play, but no issue with Tatum really. I think he just looks like a lot of these guys in this price tag range today. Alperen Sengun, not nearly as well projected on that FanDuel only game today as Luka and LeBron. Still looks pretty good to me with a 44.9 projection on DraftKings. James Harden, getting him almost 4x the field. 22% of my top 150 have him. Fields at 6.4%. Another guy at 9,500 here, not quite 50 fantasy points, closer to 45. In my opinion, based on the rates, he's probably due to play better than Kawhi is at some point here, even though these guys have both been putting up 50 fantasy point days pretty regularly lately. To me, Kawhi's rates and the per 100 numbers don't really support him playing as well as he's been playing, even though it could just be him rounding into full health, getting back to old Kawhi. In my opinion, based on the rates, it should be moving back to Harden at some point. So I am not seeing James Harden with that projection being under that 5x threshold we're still looking for generally. But in terms of pay-up options at 9,500, getting him at 22% with the fields at 6%, he's low enough to take your shots. We got Paolo Banchero here, a little bit more expensive than Harden, a little bit lower projected for me, getting him in 13%, fields at 17. Tyler Hero, the man to thumbnail. People are saying he's got a punchable face. I don't think Tyler Hero's that punchable. I like Tyler Hero, but I'm not like a Heat fan or anything. I feel like he stands up for himself when guys are dicks him on the court, and he gets shots up, which is all I'm looking for. But $8,800 salary for him. You have no Andrew Wiggins. Also, the Heat, frankly, missing some other guys as well, like Duncan Robinson, that affect the rates a little bit more. Hero looks pretty strong to me at 8,800, 28.5% ownership for the field. I've got him at 36%. Anthony Davis, not really getting there too much. Fields getting there 20%. I did not juke the rates at all for the Mavs at this point because you are adding in Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. Both guys were at shoot around today, expecting them to play. You're making it a more crowded rotation, number one overall. Number two is like you have some bigs there that are actually pretty good as opposed to AD playing with kind of shittier fives. I don't want to really get a lot of Mavs today. I don't love the price tags, but AD is going to be 20% played. So if you want to be there, I wouldn't be mad at you for it. Just not really the move for me. Miles Bridges, getting him today. He was apparently not in the data set for Stokastic this morning because they thought he wasn't going to play on a back-to-back for the Hornets. Instead, he is going again. Of course, we have seen him spike a lot of big days with LaMelo Ball out. I'm my usual more aggressive in the field, more aggressive in the market projection. 42.2 for me today. Stokastic at 39.2. So not really a great Miles Bridges day, but he's 3.6% owned. These are the days where he can win you a tournament for a Hornets team that's also not playing a good Jazz team, for a Hornets team that also has got not a lot of guys who are going to be able to get their own shots very much. Bridges, I think, can make sense in the right lineup. Going to sort by value here. All right. Bear with me, guys. I feel like my brain function from waking up multiple times in the middle of the night for the past 2 days of the dog, I feel like everything I normally do is like this much slower, and my mouth is like moving this much worse than usual. So bear with me as I try to keep it up, keep it all above board today. Top value play, though, should be an interesting one to go to today with a lot of ownership coming up. Thomas Bryant, Miles Turner out today. So you're also getting Benedict Mathurin out. The overall situation for Thomas Bryant is one where if he plays well, he can keep the minutes and keep them to himself. He can easily pay off the $3,200 price tag. If he doesn't play well, you can see more Obi Toppin at the 5. You can even see Tony Bradley at the 5. He's already being projected for a few minutes today by Stokastic. Not a ton, but he's getting about 13 minutes from Stokastic, and he's been a great per-minute producer, so he would also be pretty interesting leverage against a player that will be potentially about 80% played today. For Indiana, though, going into a matchup against Sacramento, not really about the center matchup too much, going against Jonas Valanciunas / Domantas Sabonis. You're also getting a pretty good team total for Indiana with 119.8 implied points. Sacramento could certainly miss some shots as well, so Thomas Bryant having a chance to pay off the rebound seems likely as well. No issue with Thomas Bryant besides the fact he's so crazily owned, but he's one of those players where, again, you take 10 fantasy points off the projection. Would you be happy with him giving you 18 fantasy points at 3,200? Probably not, but did he kill your lineup at that point? I would say also probably not. So I would be more inclined to play Thomas Bryant in every lineup than I would to fade him entirely. But I think if you're fading him intelligently, playing Toppin, maybe boosting his projection a little bit, the price tag for Toppin is not great at 4,200, but you can certainly get there. Same thing for Tony Bradley. He's $3K minimum salary flat, so you're saving $200. Like, frankly, build some Thomas Bryant lineups out and then take Tony Bradley out of a couple of them if you're playing a 20 max. I think that's sort of what I would try to consider today for Thomas Bryant with this much ownership going his way. Great play, but anytime as a play is this great and you have some kind of direct pivots to him, not a crazy thing to consider them. For any single entry players, how do you leverage Spags data for your team? I mean, at that point, for me, I would probably just be playing the top projected guys for the most part because my projections will make you unique enough for a single entry because obviously not a lot of people out there have them. So even though I'm going to be mostly close to market, as you can see when I go through things here, if I were playing a single entry, I would just play my projection straight up. Usually when I'm playing the higher, for me, I'm playing every night, usually 20 max plus the higher dollar tournament, whatever the one is for 100K or 50K lately. So they've been cutting the prize pools with MLB going. I'll put in my highest projected lineups in the higher dollar tournament because I want those to be the thing that speak for me if I win. So that's what I would do. But, really in general, any sort of pivot you make in a chalky lineup, whether it's my data or not, you pivot off of one guy who's, chalky to another player who's similarly projected, maybe not quite as good, or a similar salary as well, and a similar projection. Ideally, if you could do that, swap to that guy, and that's your way to get unique in a lineup. You could do that as well. But I think if you're using my data, I would just use the data. But obviously, follow your heart. Oscar Tshiebwe. So started for the Jazz over the weekend with some of the bigs missing today. Again, you're getting John Collins out, Lauri Markkanen out. You're also getting Walker Kessler out. So Tshiebwe should be in to get you mid-20s minutes. The issue is it could be Filipowski that closes over him at the 5, especially today with with Utah going against Charlotte. A spot for them where you would think you want a big man out there, a true big man like Tshiebwe, but if Mark Williams is killing him, you definitely be in a spot where they end up starting Filipowski at the 5, just try to spread it out a little bit more. So I like Tshiebwe. He's been a beast of a rebounder. Technically, he's been the best rebounder in the league in terms of some of the per 100 possession numbers, averaging about 22 rebounds per 100 possessions. He's also been a pretty productive fantasy producer overall with 1.04 fantasy points a minute. Not a high usage guy, but I would think with the match with Mark Williams, he'll either be close to the rim, kind of doing similar things to Mark Williams at a much cheaper price tag, or he'll get eaten alive by Mark Williams to just be kind of kept off the glass. That would be like where I think the outcomes go for him. So I'd be more inclined to play him than not, though I am getting right now only 28% of my top 150 with him. The field's at 39%. And when you see these two guys here, important to keep in mind, these guys are both center only. A lot of the field tonight will just play Thomas Bryant and Oscar Tshiebwe. So if you play, more expensive center, that's going to be one of your ways to get unique on the slate. Davion Mitchell, getting about 7x the field on him, has not been a play for me very much lately. When you take out Wiggins, you take out Duncan Robinson, it's a little bit harder to ignore him at 4,800. The rates for him take a pretty decent jump up in court time without those guys for Miami. He's been averaging about 15% usage, 22% assist rate, 0.8 fantasy points per minute, which is not bad for a guy projected to play about 32 minutes here. So Davion Mitchell, never really a ceiling guy, but is somebody that projects well per minute, should be getting good minutes here because of the guys that Miami is missing. Dalen Terry, another value here, 21% for the field or 22%. I'm at 20. Kyle Anderson with the Heat vacancies, getting 19 minutes. You're getting him in some lineups. Hard to see the ceiling being there. He's got to steal minutes away from somebody else to get there, but he will pop up as a value here. Kind of play at value, though, that I really don't want to get a ton of. I'm getting 11% in the sim. That's enough compared to the field, 6%. Filipowski, as I talked about, if you're not playing Tshiebwe, boosting Filipowski would be a logical thing to do. If Tshiebwe doesn't close, it's very likely Filipowski is closing. And frankly, it's more possible Filipowski at that point had an outlier day at 6,500. He's been a great producer all year. Filipowski in court time without the various Jazz missing, all the bigs plus Jordan Clarkson. He's averaged 1.14 fantasy points per minute, 67% true shooting, which is probably a bit unsustainable, but 20% usage with it, 16% rebound rate, 17% assist rate too. Does a little bit of everything. So if he gets more minutes today, steals a few away from Tshiebwe at the 5, he could really break the slate. So getting him in 57% of my lineups, fields at 22. Really think playing one of Tshiebwe or Filipowski would be a way I would try to play most of your lineups tonight. Khalil Ware looking okay here. Never a priority play for me, but getting a 20%, fields at 13. Obi Toppin getting him 11% of my top 150, fields at 3% and change. Toppin would be your lever against Thomas Bryant. He and Tony Bradley. I think Bradley would be sort of the second eject cord. Toppin's probably the first one if Thomas Bryant's not having a good enough day. I would still think Toppin's a good enough play, but if you're playing him at 92% of your lineups like I got in my top 150, I would say having that other 8%, have one of those other guys would be probably a good move. Tony Bradley, not getting him very much in the sim. Stokastic just not putting him in there very often, but he is 3K minimum. If Thomas Bryant fails, the odds of Bradley succeeding have gone up quite a bit. And he's been a beast producer overall for Indiana on the year. He has been averaging so far 1.24 fantasy points per minute on 21% usage, 18% rebound rate. Rebound rate's actually been a little bit lower in court time without Miles Turner and Benedict Mathurin, but that should even out over the course of time. Would say that for Bradley, he's not going to be played very often with that low minutes projection, but really, Thomas Bryant goes down to 25 minutes. You might see Tony Bradley play 23. And at that point, he can give you 27, 28 fantasy points. He is your most direct lever to Thomas Bryant, even though I do think Obi Toppin serves the same purpose, a little bit more expensive. Domantas Sabonis, talked about getting a lot of him, so you're not surprised by that now. And Justin Champagnie, 23% for me, good per minute producer for a Wizards team that doesn't have a lot of them at this point. And when you take off guys like Keyshawn George, guys like Bilal Coulibaly, who's been out for a while now, more minutes for Champagnie to go around. You also have no Middleton today, so there's a chance for him to play a good amount of minutes, 27 minutes of projection right now, and he looks good enough to me to get 4x the field on. We're going to go through game by game here. And guys, if you appreciate this content, how could you say no to this face when it asks you to please hit the like button here? Can you click it too? No, you can't do that. You're a dog. Please subscribe down below. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment as well. This is the only NBA DFS channel that supports dogs enough to have them on stream. So please do show some love here as I'm going to make it a bit. I obviously love having the dog here, but would love to just focus on the content. Got a cute dog. Please hit the like button for the cute dog. If nothing else. Check out Unabated too. Of course, we're going to be looking at their betting data in about 10 minutes. You get 20% off. Link down below. Promo code SPLASH on there. And in fact, you might want to get an Underdog as well with that $1,000 deposit bonus. So you can be ready to go with the pick'ems and all the best bets according to Unabated's data. You're sitting now. You're so cute. I also have to keep not petting the dog throughout the entire thing. Oh, thank you for that. Dog just as cute as the owner. That's what we're going for here. I'm known as the cutest DFS personality / prop betting personality, I guess, that we have in the industry. Utah, 109.5 implied points. Charlotte, 112 on their side. A lot of Utah here. I feel like we've kind of talked about some of the key guys already. Filipowski looking good. Will look better if Tshiebwe doesn't close. Tshiebwe will hit his ceiling if he does close. Filipowski can also still close with him at the 4, so I would keep that in mind. Keontae George, a lot of ownership going his way, 33% for me. Fields at 13. If you get Sexton out, I think it'd be even easier to play Keontae George when you have only two of the main guards. Clarkson's out for the rest of the year. If you take Sexton out, that means that Collier and George are going to get a lot of the minutes there. Sensabaugh would also get more in that spot, but Keontae George, I think, looks good now. Will look better, though, by a pretty good margin if you get Sexton out. Isaiah Collier, I never get very much of, but today I'm getting 12%. Fields at 14. Shebe, 28%. Fields at 39. So we've talked enough about him. Sensabaugh has closed some games lately, seemingly earning the trust a little bit here after kind of being jerked around the rotation a good amount lately. For Sensabaugh, I think he's a strong play, but would be one of those that also gets a lot better if Sexton is out. Utah's got a lot of quality guys here. One thing to keep in mind is it is a pace down for Utah, who's already not one of the fastest paced teams in the league. So Charlotte here, Utah, decent team totals, decent defensive efficiency matchups on both sides, but lower pace game. If these guys miss shots, possessions just won't be there to dig out of it. Charlotte on their side, we got Miles Bridges, 13%, Fields at 4. Mark Williams, really no ownership coming in here. Having Bridges in the mix really knocked down my potential Mark Williams projection and exposure. But certainly Mark Williams going against Shebe. He's also a direct lever against Shebe as well. If you were to play Filipowski and Mark Williams together, I would think you're really capturing the way that Shebe fails, which is getting housed on the boards. Number one by Mark Williams. Number two, be losing minutes to Filipowski / production Filipowski. So I think there's sort of an interesting way to do that. I just wish Mark Williams were a little bit cheaper. The projection's not good enough here for a guy with two centers that could play instead of him. KJ Simpson low on today after he was chalk for me on Friday. He looks okay again. The issue is having Miles Bridges in. If Bridges weren't in, I would see getting to that 37% for the field that they're going to have here. As it is right now, I only have him at 25 fantasy points. KJ Simpson still 5x value. Think he's a fine play, but with Bridges in, ceiling gets capped a good amount. Would I limit lineups to one or the other, Shebe and Filipowski? I probably wouldn't because they can close together. I do think lineups without Shebe should probably give a boost. Like if you're using a solver optimizer, or I guess if you still have Fantasy Cruncher, I don't even know if it exists anymore. If you still have Fantasy Cruncher, I would say doing that in those lineups where like that way, and that's one of the things I do when I do put stuff in an optimizer when I don't have time to run the sim. I'll give a boost where I'm like, oh, I'm getting a lot of Shebe, so let me cap Shebe's exposure and then boost the direct beneficiaries. I would absolutely boost Filipowski in that spot if I weren't playing Shebe. But if you guys are running a sim, I probably wouldn't limit them, but I'd be mindful if you got them in a bunch of lineups together to try to then get a different look on it. I guess the best way to say it. Tajon Salon, I think on Friday he had a good game, and I was like, I'm tired of Tajon Salon, the one Frenchman who hasn't been good. He probably has a shot to play better on the home stretch. I don't know if a day with Miles Bridges in is when you expect Tajon Salon to be better. But at this point, he is going to play enough minutes, projected for 26.2 today. He's not been very good on the year with 0.71 fantasy points, but Salon, there's minutes to go around for a guy like him, who at this point is really one of the main guys you want to develop these last 10 games or so of the season. Miami here, again, no Wiggins, no Duncan Robinson, opening up a lot of production here. Still Nikola Jovic, which also helps things out a little bit in terms of the rates. Tyler Hero's the big stand here, 36% for me, Fields at 29. I'm not so much on Bam Adebayo, who's not a great producer overall, and losing some of the guys on the wing that are no longer available. Touches maybe moving away from him a little bit because of the guys that you don't have out there, like Robinson, like Wiggins, and like Jimmy Butler historically as well. Bam, I feels a little bit of a blind spot here, but he just doesn't project that well for me, so I'll be low on Bam today, and shocked to see him this high for the field, to be honest. Khalil Ware, prefer him. Obviously, think flattening these guys out would be a move as well. One guy's going to produce well. The other one probably won't in most spots for Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware at these price tags. Davion Mitchell, we talked about him earlier, gets a rate increase for the guys no longer available. If he's going to play 30 minutes, he's in play, but not a great producer. Normally at about 0.7 fantasy points a minute, accounting for the guys out for Miami. And the rate boost that he'll get, I have him for about 0.86 fantasy points a minute today. Pele Larson, getting him a little bit here, 11% for me, 4% for the field. Kyle Anderson getting a little bit here. Really don't love these plays, but they're playing Washington. You know, Miami's missing some guys. You're going to get some Heat players, and I think you just got to accept them in whatever amounts they come in. But trying to get with the field more on Bam, I think it'd be responsible. I'm just probably not going to do it today. Alex Sarr looking okay here in terms of what I would view him at, how he's been playing lately, averaging 1.35 fantasy points a minute lately with the various Wizards that aren't available. That said, the minutes for him are a little bit of a trap overall. The spot versus Miami, not a great one. I think Sarr, to me, feels like an interesting tournament play at 2% owned. Going against Bam Adebayo, he can maybe kind of prove his mettle there against the guy who's going to at least keep him in range to get some blocks, get some rebounds. I would not really want to put out like a really big stand on Sarr, but 2% ownership, he's been good lately. I could see taking that shot. Jordan Poole's minutes just not reliable at this point. 1% for the field. I still wouldn't play him. Champagny, getting him as we talked about. Bub Carrington, not so much. AJ Johnson getting a little bit. He's not been great on the Wizards. He looks the part, but just doesn't produce that well fantasy-wise with 0.75 fantasy points per minute. Colby Jones, 4% and change for me here. I don't love him. Getting a lot of these guys spread out, but really no concentrated amount of Wizard for me. Clippers really not getting a ton here besides the big stand on Harden. Kawhi Leonard a little bit low on, Fields at 6%. These guys are all pretty expensive. We have seen Harden and Kawhi, again, going off in multiple spots lately. I don't know that versus Orlando in a game with like a 210 combined total, 211 combined total is a spot you'd want to go there. So I'm pretty comfortable not playing Harden and Kawhi more than I'm getting them as it is right now. Just not the kind of matchup you want to go to, but the fact that they're so low owned, they've been good in pretty much every spot lately. Like, I'm not going to run away from the ownership I'm getting here, even though 4X gets a little bit more like 3X on Harden. It's not my ideal, is what I'd say. Orlando on their side, getting Paolo Banchero at 13%, Fields at 17. Franz Wagner getting a 27%, Fields at 15. Same thing as usual here, where my projections do tend to favor Wagner a little bit more, especially with the 1K price tag. But neither projects that well today, given the matchup with the Clippers. So really, I think if you're with the Fields ownership, that feels like more than enough. I don't know. I need a quarter of my lineups to have Franz Wagner today. Sacramento, pretty big stand for me in Domantas Sabonis with the projection being about 1.5 fantasy points higher than Stokastics. I think it's a good match for them as well on paper, going against an Indiana team with Thomas Bryant at center. Team total for Sacramento looks good. Really think with this much Sabonis, it'd be logical to get more DeRozan, more Levine, more Monk as a counterpoint. But these guys project terribly for me. Really, I'm baffled by having this much Sabonis, but you look at the projections, you get it a bit more. Sabonis to me probably would be a splash play of the day right now. It does look pretty strong. Clippers and Orlando game screaming 90-84. I would think it's like playoff NBA finals kind of level basketball with how the defenses are. But sometimes Orlando and frankly the Clippers too getting these weird shootouts. So like seeing that little ownership on a game, I think is always kind of appealing, but I'm not playing 150. So, it's a little bit harder to get to those spots for me. For Indiana, would say for them, really no big winner from having Mathurin out. Really a little bit of an increase for everybody here. But the rates, frankly, don't jump up enough for Miles Turner and for having Mathurin out. Court time without those two guys for Indiana, I would have Halliburton at 1.3 fantasy points a minute, which is pretty good. 1.22 is my projection today. But he's averaged 1.28 court time without Miles Turner, court time without Benedict Mathurin. Pascal Siakam has averaged 1.14 fantasy points per minute. So you're talking about him basically being the same player he is normally. Have him coming down a little bit because his rates actually are lower in court time without those guys. The Pacers are a team I frankly feel like I don't project well enough. And I've talked about it a lot, like Halliburton, I just don't get very often. There's some days where he's breaking the slate. I'm just not there, and I can live with it. A day like today where they are home, and again, the team total looks pretty good, I'd be okay playing Halliburton, but I don't think he's a 30% play. I don't think Siakam's over a third of the lineups play. I don't think playing them together is the move either, because one guy usually hits, the other one fails, or at least fails relative to winning you a tournament. I don't love this much ownership for Indiana besides Thomas Bryant. I get why it's a little bit higher, but like these projections seem really high to me, and I don't know what I need to do differently to get these guys more. So I'm not going to today, but if you want to fade me directly and play chalk, playing the Indiana regular rotational guys is probably the move. Thomas Bryant, though, looking good. As we talked about, if you're just tuning in, if you don't play Thomas Bryant, consider Obi Toppin more, consider Tony Bradley more. Those guys would certainly stand out because you probably need big men out there with Jay Val and Sabonis overall. Boston on their side, Tatum 31% of the field. I'm at 21. This is with Brown in the projection set, assumed to play. If Brown were out, Tatum will come up. Derek White would come up a little bit. These price tags aren't super beneficial, though, so not a priority spot for me. Memphis, obviously the new team going on since firing their coach. Maybe things can be a little bit softer. You're gaining a lot of possessions, but frankly, might see them play a little bit slower over the course of time as well. I'm not sure that I love this matchup unless you get Jaylen Brown out. Then I could see targeting Boston a good amount more. Memphis on their side, again, you're expecting the pace to potentially fall a little bit. It'd be hard for them to play at already, the fastest pace in the league. I don't know how much they can increase it with new coaching. And I would guess too, based on the fact they're going to run a lot more pick and roll stuff. There's an article in The Athletic talking about how basically why they fired Taylor Jenkins and why John Morant may have had more of a hand in it is that he didn't like the way the offense was running at times. In particular, he didn't like being able to call a screener, set up a pick and roll for himself because the game was meant to kind of keep the ball moving, get the shot up, not 8 seconds or less or anything, but still get a shot up pretty fast on the clock. Would say that for Morant, it maybe gets better for him because they are going to coach a little more to what he wants. But I think losing the pace comes out in the wash. So these guys, to me, don't really look playable. The field's not playing them either, though. So if you want to take shots on the new look Memphis Grizzlies, you certainly can. Frankly, though, I think there are bigger issues. There was a clip that went viral over the weekend, which I think was from a few games ago, but it was like Desmond Bane yelling at Santi Aldama to play some fucking defense. Aldama's like, fuck you. I don't know what's going on there, but it doesn't seem like a great scene overall. So I'm not looking for reasons to get to Memphis, but the fact they're not being played at all and you have some uncertainty there about the changes going on, maybe you win something with Memphis that I'm not seeing. With Halliburton and Siakam on the court, Turner off. They're both practically even in DK points per minute. Yeah, I mean, you got to take Mathurin off too to get a better read and where the ball flows more. I mean, that's what I was looking at. But I mean, they're fundamentally very similar players. Neither one gets above 25% usage. That's sort of the main thing I would say, but yeah, whatever. You can play Indiana if you want. If you clear the fields, been doing it a lot today. Chicago, you have that Q tag on Josh Giddey. No, he's no longer a Q tag. Did he get upgraded? Might have missed that. All right, so Giddey in the projection set at the very least thought he was a Q tag, but he may not be. You still have Trey Jones out here. Lonzo Ball, doubtful tag on him. Still no Zach LaVine. Obviously, he's gone forever. So you're missing a few key lead ball handlers here. I would assume move out for the year. Gave these guys a rate boost that comes with that. Nobody jumps out. Kevin Huerter's here as well, so there was like more minutes to go around for guys like Patrick Williams. Dalen Terry could pick up some more, but nobody looks fantastic to me. Getting Terry with the field on 20%. He's a player I hate playing. I just don't think he ever really gets shots up meaningfully. That 14.8% usage rate. Kobe White and Giddey, low-owned plays, but the projection's not there. Not really the spot for Chicago going against OKC, but Josh Giddey revenge game. I don't know. Not enough teens in OKC, though, for him. We got OKC, 126.8 implied points, obviously facing a Chicago team that we've attacked a lot, and DFS in general, players have attacked a lot this year. SGA looking okay here, but because the entire lineup is healthy, SGA's price tag feels a bit elevated. Obviously, if they're going to be an outlier versus Chicago, you'd expect it to be him, but they should also, I mean, we'll see, I guess. They should smoke Chicago here, given the fact they are, 14-point favorite at home. Chicago does sometimes hang in games more, though, so we never like to predict a blowout, but I don't know how Chicago hangs in this game, really. The projections, though, don't look great. I'm okay not getting a ton of Thunder, but if the game's close, the thing is, like, you kind of need to play a bull to keep the game close, like Giddey or White, maybe Vooch. The Vooch has been awful in general without the true point guards out there. There's maybe something to this game I'm missing, just not really feeling it based on the projections. Brooklyn. So this is a thing that I said on stream a while ago, and it wasn't like a big thing, but it stuck with me because I remember telling it. I think it was actually in between Stokastic streams, and the crossover point was talking to Josh and Greg, two of my guys at Stokastic. Will actually be doing a stream with Greg Ehrenberg today for MLB Live Before Lock in about half an hour. If you want to get my MLB takes coming on there, talk about Drew Timme, and I was like, Drew Timme's a guy like I think is going to really crush in the trash part of the season where they're tanking. Didn't think he would get in at this point. They were also like, oh, he's not even on the Nets roster, really. He's just on the G League team. He ends up getting a Nets contract. He's been playing really well. I want to really play Drew Timme conceptually. The issue is, like, he crushed in one of the games with Claxton out. The minutes just aren't guaranteed for him at this point. He's probably going to soak up all the Noah Clowney and Day'Ron Sharp backup 5 minutes. So he's going to get you 20 minutes. The hard part is, like, I don't think he closes over Claxton, which will be a hard thing for him to get to his ceiling. But I like Drew Timme a lot. If there is a game coming up where Claxton is out, and Day'Ron Sharp is still out, I would play Drew Timme pretty fast in that kind of matchup. He's going to get you hopefully high 20s minutes and probably crush. But he's a great producer, was really good in the G League, put up triple doubles, put up a 50-point game. I think real life points at one point in the G League. Drew Timme is one of those guys, like, I would go to a good amount, just not when Nick Claxton is playing. And I do think the people who played over the weekend will chase him more than this ownership has right now. Fields projected to play 8%. I would guess that he gets you to 15, 20%. I can see, I think he won people money over the weekend as well. Frankly, on Friday too. Sorry for the late question. I was behind. If Edey starts again, do you bump his minutes up? I just use Stokastic minutes for him, and they would handle that for it. But you can bump them up a little bit, but I don't know how much you'd want to at this point, because you want to look to at the for any minutes projection, you want to look at the longer term sample size. New coaching staff could change things. They could decide they want Zach Edey on the court for 30 minutes a game, but like, I don't know how confident you could say that after one game. For Dallas, talked about them before. I just don't see the AD ownership with Gafford and Lively both coming back in here. Not a bad team total for Dallas, but the rotation is now pretty much full strength, besides Brandon Williams still being out. So or he's with the G League, I think. But at this point for Dallas, I don't want to be here. You certainly could take a shot in AD if you want at 9,600, but I just don't think it bears out with the amount of guys they now have in the rotation. And frankly, guys like Najee Marshall, who are never going to return to that same usage again because of the fact he got a taste of what actually getting shots up is like. It's going to be a weird situation for Dallas moving forward. And your FanDuel game, we talked about it earlier, Şengün, Luka, LeBron, they all project fairly well in terms of the overall points, but nothing stands out that much. We're going to go to Unabated next, guys, so stay with me here. And, of course, we're going to watch this video. And for the first time ever, you're kidding. All right, the first time ever, Kitty the dog will get to indulge in the steel drums of this unabated video, teaching you all about conditional NBA projections right now. Oh, woof, woof, woof. Sorry, there's a dog at the mic. That's not me. Of course, with Unabated, we're going to do the same thing we always do here, using their quality premium data created by Justin, fan of the team over there. Things that have won bettors, literally $60,000. All they do is tail the bets 30 minutes before tip-off that have a 5% or higher ROI. And that is the kind of success you're going to have with Unabated if you actually put the time in. Of course, real-time news on there. You don't have to be on Twitter. You can get alerts right on the platform, which is pretty nice as well. You are on the odds screens all day, like some people out there are. Graphs, of course, left and right. Graphs of dogs. Communities, also about dogs. All right, log me in Unabated too, please. I'm behind here. I'm trying to log in at the same time. Chats, dogs, Unabated. I'm going to be counting your money on this fine platform that sometimes makes it hard for me to log in. Show the graph. Come on. Come on. Come on. My brain working slow because of the lack of sleep. Unabated also working a little bit slow as a result. That's a doge you can actually support. Thank you for that. Gangbang music. Jesus. I don't think that's gangbang music. It's an aggressive one. Anyway, if you've been playing Unabated's data since the beginning of the year, you'd be up almost $60,000, placing all the bets 30 minutes before tip-off that have a 5% or higher sim ROI. That's what you get with Unabated. You're getting professional, better caliber data. It's not tailing somebody on Dub Club or Tails or whatever you're using out there. It's using actual data that professional bettors are using, sometimes syndicates as well, that rely on this data from Justin, fan of the crew every day. So even though we're at the end of the NBA regular season, the data goes on throughout the playoffs. You have a shot to make money on this, and I would say try to do it if you can. I know it's work. I know it's extra effort. I know people are always skeptical of betting products, but if you've been following along here the entire year, you would see what Unabated can do, both on a small sample size and this larger sample size you see here. So check it out. Link in the description. They've been a great partner for me. If you want to enjoy this content and you want to see it again next year, make sure to support Unabated. All right, let's get in here. Probably watching too much of Lily. I would think so. Although I don't know that Lily Phillips has steel drums. I don't. Like I said, isn't she pregnant now too? So that's, responsible planning all around. All right. Unabated projections. Here's all your Q-Tag guys. These teams won't be in the data we're going to show you here. Bogdan Bogdanović, Jaylen Brown, Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Colby Jones, Derek Lively, and Colin Sexton. So these are all the projections that we have different sets for, depending on who's in, who's out. That's what you're getting right now for the conditional projections, of course, on Unabated. And our best bets for points. Let's see what we got. Like worried I'm going to squish the dog. She's like curled up in a ball here. The reason she's named Kitty is because she like really is acting like a cat so far, like total cuddle bug, all that. But man, she's like just nuzzled up like under my ass. I'm like, I don't want to suffocate. Imagine if I suffocate my puppy with my fat ass while on stream. That wouldn't be a good look for anybody. All right, best bets. Let's resort here. Your best points bets right now. Trey Lyles under 5.5 points. Minus 125 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook gets you 18.1% EV. So run to take that bet right now on DraftKings. You don't often see EVs that high on a site like DraftKings. Pick'em sites, yes. DraftKings and FanDuel, not so much. Zach Collins under 7.5 points, looking best on PrizePicks, where you get 17.8% EV. Still playable as well on DraftKings and FanDuel. Killed on Underdog, though. So Zach Collins on DraftKings, FanDuel, and PrizePicks especially take the bet for under 7.5 points. John Morant under 23.5. Not a showing of love here by the Unabated data or the betting markets. 14.2% EV for John Morant on DraftKings Sportsbook under 23.5 points. FanDuel playable, pick'em sites also playable. So John Morant, grand slam here. You could take the under on his 23.5 points anywhere you can get it. Fred VanVleet under 12.5 points. Actually, no, excuse me, over 12.5 points. Looking good on FanDuel. Minus 102 odds gets you 13.8% EV on FanDuel. And actually, grand slam here too. Playable on PrizePicks, playable on Underdog, playable on DraftKings. So Fred VanVleet over 12.5 points anywhere you can get it. Goga Batadze, under 5.5 points, 11.6% EV for you on DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 115 odds. Playable on PrizePicks as well, 10.3% EV on there for Goga Batadze, under 5.5 points. Zach LaVine, over 20.5 points, 10.2% EV for you. Again, I like Sabonis more, but the unabated data pushing towards LaVine worries me a little bit. I'm doing the Rodney Dangerfield. I'm getting hot on the collar here. I can't believe it. Zach LaVine, 10.3% EV at minus 108 odds on FanDuel. Playable on your pickup sites as well at over 20.5 points for Zach LaVine. And Dalen Terry under 8.5 points. The guy's no good, as I said. PrizePicks for Dalen Terry looks the best. Playable on DraftKings and FanDuel as well for Dalen Terry under 8.5 points. Rebounds coming up next. Come on. There we go. Now I take a sip of water. I deserve it, I think. Yeah, we have to talk MLB for an hour after this. Really, the two sport thing, man. Though I have to say for MLB, I don't know where I'm at right now. I guess I'll check it in a moment. I was top 15 for the MLB early slate today on DraftKings. So I would like to win money off of MLB so I could really make me feel more confident in my offerings there. But we will be doing MLB content no matter what coming up in about 20 minutes on the Stokastic channel. Jalen Wilson, excuse me. We got 17.2% EV for him. Over 3.5 rebounds for Jalen Wilson today. The Nets also ran for him. Looking okay on FanDuel as well. Not so much the Pick'em site. So Jalen Wilson, play it on DraftKings Sportsbook if you can. Also playable on FanDuel. Modest Buzelis, under 5 rebounds, looking best on PrizePicks, 12.6% EV on there. Playable as well on DraftKings Sportsbook, where you get 8.6% EV for under 4.5 rebounds. But Buzelis under 5 rebounds looks the best on PrizePicks right now. Jalen Wells, over 3.5 rebounds, 11.4% EV on FanDuel at plus 124 odds. Playable as well on DraftKings at plus 114 odds as well. Over 3.5 rebounds on there. So your Jalen Wells line. Too many Jalen's up top. Jalen Wells looking good on DraftKings and FanDuel, not in your pick'em sites. Scottie Pippen Jr., surprised to see an over for him, given the fact you're going to have the guards back in and the offense concentrating around them a little bit more, but we trust Unabated's data above everything. That's what you should be betting with if you are going to use that as a principle. Scottie Pippen here, over 2.5 rebounds, minus 140 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gets you 11.1% EV. Nick Claxton, over 7.5 rebounds, best on PrizePicks, where it's 10.9% EV. Playable on DraftKings Sportsbook, we're getting 6.2% EV on over 7.5 rebounds. But Nick Claxton looking best on PrizePicks with 10.9% EV for over 7.5 rebounds. Mark Williams, under 10.5 rebounds, minus 110 odds on DraftKings, gets you 10.7% EV. Playable on PrizePicks as well, playable on FanDuel as well, not so much on Underdog. And Paolo Banchero, 10.1% EV for over 7.5 rebounds at plus 114 odds on FanDuel. Playable on PrizePicks over 7, playable on DraftKings over 7.5, not playable on Underdog right now. Underdog's hurt me today. They're not giving me any good lines. I can't make you guys all stare. Subliminal messaging here, of course. Promo code SPLASH on Underdog when they have any plus EV bets. Please run to it. All right, last step here, second to last step here, our assist bets. We will run a DFS sim, see what Stokastic has for us for NBA today, and then I'll do MLB, and I will hopefully get my acronyms correct. KJ Simpson, over 4 assists, best on PrizePicks, not available anywhere else. 18.5% EV for the over on KJ Simpson here. And it looks like the line on Underdog was just over 4.5, so on that alone, you're getting a good line on PrizePicks right now. Jackson Hayes, over 0.5 assists, looking good on PrizePicks and Underdog, getting 11.4% EV on both. Not playable on your regular sportsbooks, though, so Jackson Hayes only on your pick'em sites, over 0.5 assists. Trendon Watford, under 3.5 assists, playable on your pick'em sites and on DraftKings and FanDuel. So grand slam here for Trendon Watford. Take under 3.5 assists anywhere you can get it for Trendon Watford today. Luka Doncic, over 7.5 assists, best on DraftKings. Minus 115 odds on there, get you 10% EV. Still good on PrizePicks, still good on Underdog, not so good on FanDuel. So not quite a grand slam, but Luka Doncic playable in your pick'em sites and DraftKings Sportsbook for under 7.5 assists today. Fred VanVleet, under 5.5 assists, 8.1% EV on DraftKings. Playable with a 5.3% EV on FanDuel as well. Not so much in your pick'em sites. Keon Johnson, under 3.5 assists, 6.8% EV for you at a juicy minus 175 odds on DraftKings. But 6.8% EV for the under 3.5 assists for Keon Johnson. And Tyrese Martin, under 2.5 assists, a flat 5% EV. So right in that range where you want to play it. Under 2.5 assists for Tyrese Martin, plus 110 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Last but not least, the PRAs. Let's hit it. Bet on torpedo bats. Yeah, the torpedo bat thing in MLB is weird because, like, it's not every Yankees using it, then things keep coming out where it's like, oh, Stan's been using it for years. That's, in fact, why he was so good in the World Series. Really Weird thing to come out as the season's already going on. There's also teams apparently that are using them too. They just didn't use them with the one guy who got PR for it, the MIT a physicist or whatever named Lenny, I think was what the guy said. So I don't know. MLB DK and RotoWire has 10. Okay. Thank you for the note. I just pull in Fantasy Labs lineup stuff for my things and pull in the Stokastic projections. So hopefully they'll have it fixed by the time I update everything between the shows. Miles Bridges under 34.5 PRAs, 18.1% EV on FanDuel Sportsbook, not playable anywhere else. But take the under on Miles Bridges today, only on FanDuel Sportsbook. Ja Morant under 35.5 PRAs, looking best on DraftKings Sportsbook, but playable everywhere. Grand slam for Ja Morant's under on PRAs. So again, the betting market's not a fan of Memphis in its current configuration. Vince Williams under 12.5 PRAs, playable on your pick'em sites, getting you 11.4% EV for Vince Williams under 12.5 PRAs. Tyrese Martin under 16.5 PRAs, looking good in the pick'em sites. And that's it, 10.9% EV for Tyrese Martin under 16.5 PRAs. Ja Morant line moving. Goga Bitadze under 12.5 PRAs, best on your pick'em sites. Not available in the sports books for Goga Bitadze under 12.5 PRAs. Keon Johnson under 18.5 PRAs, good on PrizePicks. Playable on DraftKings, close to playable on FanDuel, but you probably don't want it. Keon Johnson under 18.5 PRAs, though, looking very good on PrizePicks with 9.3% EV. And Matas Buzelis here. Honestly, enough to build an underdog card, so here we go. Promo code SPLASH, $1,000 deposit bonus on Underdog. Matas Buzelis, 9.3% EV on Underdog for the lower on 20.5 PRAs. Put a card here for the Vince Williams under 12.5 PRAs, Tyrese Martin under 16.5, Ja Morant under 35.5, Goga Bitadze under 12.5, and Matas Buzelis under 20.5 PRAs. And you're good to go on Underdog today, so go check it out there. If you are new in Underdog, you get a free pick'em with it. So play this pick'em here. Play all the PRAs bets. Easy enough, right? That's all you got to do. Let's go to Stokastic next. Let's build some NBA lineups here. Projections updated at 440 here, so hot off the presses. We'll see what we're getting here. And guys, if you do appreciate this content, again, I'm sleep deprived fully here, but hopefully you don't notice it as much as I do. So please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Again, who could say no to this sleeping dog named Kitty? Oh my God, what an age. Look how small she is. I'm 6'1" and 240. Look how small she would be relative to that. Imagine. But please show some love here. I can't feed and love this dog. How could you say no to this face? Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Your point down here. Can you point? There we go. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Do all the things, please. I'm so sorry. She keeps like laying down like, oh, this is what I am now. I'm a prop on a stream. This is what I've been adopted into. It's not going to be every minute of the day for her, but for now, yes. Huge fan of Buzelis. Hope he gets to play big minutes the rest of his career. He hasn't shown me enough this year, to be honest. And no, she's not a puppet. My hand is not up her ass, just for the record. I could probably take off the subscribe thing now. All right, let's simulate these lineups. I think NBA is still 33% to first, so I'm going to do that. Let's run this sim here. Again, my data, not a factor here. You saw what my data overlaid in the Stokastic sim looked like. We went through the projections earlier. Now you're just going to see what Stokastic data has. So we'll look at their top lineups, where their exposures are, and I'll let the dog go pee before I do another stream. Thank you. So sweet. I agree. I think it's adorable that I'm a man who's gambling here who loves a little puppy. She has been like attached to me. It's very cute, but it also a lot of pressure not to step on her. So, you know, we got that both ways. Stokastic, by the way, is a good deal going if you do want to play some MLB. Actually, I should see where I am I'm sure I fell precipitously. But a good deal going right now. $1 for all their data and their Sims tools on Stokastic. I think it goes for 4 more days if you want to check it out. Just click the link in the description, go over there. And of course, my lineups have fallen off. Top 170 is not bad. But when I was top 15 for most of the day, that hurts. Got the pitchers right, though. Got Christopher Sanchez, Chris Bubich right. Got the White Sox stack right. Fucking baseball, man. Just got to take your hand off the wheel with the Sims on baseball. I will say my Sim MLB tip, which I won't give on the Live Before Lock show, just play the pitchers you want and just let the Sims do the stack work would be what I've been okay with so far in the first few slates. Follow your heart. Can we use your code after the $1 a week? You can. I mean, you could use it whenever. The promo code SPLASH goes on forever. But for the guys, especially who follow me from Stokastic, like this is the only time you get 15% off. I won't say make a new email and use the data, but like honestly, you could save money on all your packages and it's 15% off in perpetuity. And again, half the money you pay to Stokastic goes support the channel. So follow your hearts. But if you are new to Stokastic, especially go check it out and click the link in the description. You get 15% off everything. But right now, just click the link and take the MLB deal because it's the best deal they have. But you know, whatever. Top ROI lineups right now, according to Stokastic data: Tyrese Halliburton, Bub Carrington, Haywood Highsmith, Paolo Banchero, Thomas Bryant, John Morant, Kyle Filipowski, and Drew Timme making it in here. Stokastic loving Drew Timme. Interesting to see here, given that I'm going to be low on Drew Timme. Tyrese Halliburton at number 2 again. Bub Carrington again. Jalen Martin, Pascal Siakam, Thomas Bryant again. SGA, Kyle Filipowski again, Drew Timme again. So you're seeing the bones here that Stokastic likes in their top lineups. We'll see if it happens in the exposures overall. Number 3, you have Tyler Hero, Bub Carrington yet again. This is so much Bub Carrington. I don't get why. Jalen Martin, Kyle Filipowski. Like, Bub Carrington's fine, but like for him to be in the top 3 ROI lineups, actually top 4, when we read the next one, that surprises me. But Filipowski, Thomas Bryant, Tyrese Halliburton yet again, Anthony Davis, Drew Timme yet again. Number 4 ROI lineup for Stokastic right now: Tyrese Halliburton, Bub Carrington again, Justin Champagnie, Kyle Filipowski, Thomas Bryant, SGA, Aaron Nesmith, and Khalil Ware. So more Bryant, more Filipowski, and some other names we haven't gotten quite as much. Tyrese Halliburton, Colin Sexton at number 5, Jalen Martin, Paolo Banchero, Thomas Bryant, KJ Simpson, Anthony Davis, and Drew Timme. I did not expect him to have this much of a Drew Timme. So, wow, Drew Timme also the top ROI guy, and Stokastic's top 150, highest ROI at 6%. So Drew Timme versus fucking Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively does not seem like the ideal Drew Timme spot to me, I will say. And I like Drew Timme a lot, was excited to play him. I just don't think this is it when you have Claxton in and starting and not likely to give up closing minutes. Look, again, Stokastic fucking knows. I'm going to be really bummed if I don't play Drew Timme today, though, when I wanted to play him. Didn't play him on Friday's slate because I didn't know he's going to be a thing. Didn't play the weekend slate. And now he's playing, and he's going to be win somebody a lot of money, according to Stokastic, apparently. Bub Carrington, your number 2 ROI guy, according to Stokastic, another positive ROI at 4% rounded up. Khalil Ware, 1%. Montes Buzelis, negative 3%. Chet Holmgren, negative 4%. Tyrese Halliburton, negative 6%. Zajan Salah, negative 6%. Don't worry about the negative numbers here. Worried about directional accuracy. When you do see the over cross 150, that Ware, Bub Carrington, and Drew Timme, well reviewed here by Stokastic lineups, maybe consider playing more of them. Your top exposed players, 98% Thomas Bryant in Stokastic's top 150 lineups. So basically every lineup going to Thomas Bryant, 78% for the field. So Thomas Bryant, if you were playing with Stokastic data, pretty much in every lineup guy. Bub Carrington, 68% compared to 23% for the field. Did somebody get fucking ruled out here for Washington? Like, did the data update because there's a Washington player that is not playing today? Just going through the injury report real fast. Doesn't look like it. I don't know. This data, though, loves Bub Carrington. So 68% Bub Carrington, 23% for the field. Tyrese Halliburton, 64%, 33% for the field. I am not going to be there, but very chalky Tyrese Halliburton getting a ton there. Colby Jones Q-tag, though. He's not ruled out yet, so he's in the data set, I think. Or did he get ruled out? I guess maybe that was it. Oh, he got sent to the G League. Was there an Underdog alert for it? Doesn't look like it. Huh. Okay. All right, you guys, good point then. All right, so Stokastic there. I'm sure my minutes will move around then because I will take their minutes from the update. But that makes more sense then, so I appreciate you guys clarifying. Because I didn't see an alert for it. So, all right, that's on me. So Tyrese Halliburton, big stand on him. Again, I'm never a fan, but follow your heart. Anthony Davis, pretty big stand on him. About a third of lineups have him. Fields at 23%. Kyle Filipowski, 31% for Stokastic's top 150. Fields at 22%. As I mentioned, if you're not playing Shibwe, you really should strongly consider playing Kyle Filipowski against Charlotte. Khalil Ware, 31%. Fields at 11%. Really big Khalil Ware stand, almost 3x the field on him. Pascal Siakam, 31%. Fields at 34%. If you're going to play that much Halliburton, you probably have to play some Siakam. Highest leverage guys, Bub Carrington, 45% more than the field. Huge stand there. Tyrese Halliburton, 31% more than the field. We talked about him. Thomas Bryant in almost every lineup, 20% more than the field. Khalil Ware, 19% more than the field. Drew Timme, 17% more than the field. They think he's only going to get 8% played. I really don't buy that with some of what I saw on social media and the fact that he's played well 2 straight games. I don't think he can unseat Claxton for closing minutes. Drew Timme, and I also think he gets like 15 to 20% out, would be my guess. We'll see. Anthony Davis, 34% for the field, 23%, or 34% for Stokastic, 23% for the field, so 11% leverage. And Montes Buzelis, 10% leverage on him. So if you like Montes Buzelis, good news. Stokastic does too. Your negative leverage guys, negative 35% on Oscar Shibwe. They're barely playing him. I'm going to get more Sheba than that. I really am going to be running against stochastic data a little bit today, and I don't love it. They are fading Bam Adebayo, though, which I agree with. Negative 18% leverage on Bam Adebayo. KJ Simpson, I agree. It's not a KJ Simpson slate on paper. Negative 16% for him. Aaron Nesmith, negative 11%. All right, I'm okay with these fades. Dalen Terry, he sucks. Negative 9% on him. Franz Wagner, I will be more than that, but negative 9% leverage in Stokastic's top 150. And Jason Tatum, negative 8% leverage for him. That will certainly change if Jaylen Brown gets ruled out. That is the slate right now, guys. I will give you guys my splash plays for the day in one moment. But please do make sure to subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. All goes a long way for me. One guy here who's right now swimming, balancing MLB data, NBA data. Of course, NFL, basketball stuff still going on, but I do the best I can here every day to be prepared, show up and give you guys my takes, and you can do whatever you want with it at this point. But know that I come by it working as hard as my brain will possibly allow, even when we are sleep deprived little puppies. Please check out Unabated as well. 20% off, link in the description. You can still get in there and make a lot of money heading into the playoffs. That is a guarantee for you if you use their data and follow it as they recommend. 30 minutes for tip-off every bet with a 5% or higher ROI. Make it about as idiot-proof as possible with Unabated, so check it out. And Stokastic, again, if you want to save 15% on any of their data or their Sims tools, all of it's 15% off. Click down below. If you also want to take their MLB deal, just click the link in the description and then use the cycle promo code if you want. I get credit for it that way, and I'm in with you if you stay a member. So check it out no matter what you're doing at Stokastic. Click the link in the description, go over there, and show some love. And join the Discord too. $5 to join. Just join the channel. The cheapest tier. You'll get added to the Discord immediately if you do click that link and sync up your YouTube to your Discord. Great place to be. I give out takes all the time in there because I don't tweet. So that's where everything goes for me on the Discord. And if you're a good guy, if you're not going to be an asshole, join the Discord. It's a good community. And it's not, no men's right shits going on there. Splash plays for the day. For me, I think it would have to be Filipowski. I feel strongly about that. I'll still play some Shibwe, but I do think Filipowski's in a good spot going against Charlotte, and I've liked what he's done before, getting the run without the other bigs available for Utah. Thomas Bryant has to be a splash play as well. I've talked before about the contingencies. If you don't have Thomas Bryant in the lineup, consider bumping up Obi Toppin, Tony Bradley as well. Those guys would certainly benefit if Thomas Bryant fails today, but with his projection, with him likely to start, you probably have to play him a good amount here. Just how much you don't play him is up to you. Who else? In terms of the values, Domantas Sabonis, I think, would still be one for me. I don't see how it's going to change in my projection between now and before lock. Coming up a ton for me here. I'm getting him at 40% of my lineups. So that would certainly be one. And anybody else? Tyler Hero, thumbnail boy. He's in the third of my lineups as well. That's probably enough to get you going. Of course, you can see my data if you join that other tier down below, Squirt Squad tier, the VIP tier. You get access to all my projections and all that. I'm going to head over to Stokastic now, guys, to do some MLB. So make sure to gamble responsibly, guys. Even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets. Again, NBA running probably throughout the playoffs as well. But we're going to start doing some MLB once the NBA regular season ends and I can kind of get to a normal roll here, hopefully. So join on board here. Just be a part of the channel, part of the community, and I'll hopefully do the best I can for you every day. And I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck, and check me out on Stokastic in about 6 minutes. All right, bye, guys.